Good evening. Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. It's Monday night. My name's Phil. We are live tonight. If you're watching live, get your views in, get your comments in. So much to talk about. Obviously, Leicester played Brentford yesterday. That is what we're going to be looking back at. We want to know what you thought to the match. I want to get your comments in. We want to get as many on screen as we possibly can. We want to talk all about Leicester 2, Brentford 2. I'm going to start it off. I think Rodgers got it totally wrong yesterday. Absolutely woeful tactics and no subs. What a shame. Kieran Dewsbury Hall scored a screamer and then got subbed. Madders seemed to blow hot and cold. Do you agree with that? I thought Danny Ward looked pretty decent as our number one in the goal. And you can win 4 tickets to Bongo Bingo in tonight's show. You've just got to guess what number shirt I've got on tonight. Simple as that. And you can win 4 tickets to Bongos Bingo in Leicester on the 19th or 20th of August. Join us live. Get your views in, get your comments in.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Are you ready for the show? Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everard's, Pucka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newbie and Co-Estate Agents. We want your views, we want your comments, so join us live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, don't forget we can get as many comments on screen, and I'm going to be joined very, very shortly by Locks, which I'm looking forward to getting his views. David S. says, I'm no expert, so I won't question his motivation or reason for subbing in Dhaka, but I would say out of everyone, Kieran Dewsbury Hall is our best combination of defensive and aggression, so why take him off? It's a good question. Nick says, good evening. Rodgers has to take 100% fault with yesterday's result. As usual, he has no plan A, B or C. I think he was trying a bit of a plan B yesterday, Nick, but it didn't seem to work off. Sanderek says, I'm no expert, but using one of your 5 subs and blaming fatigue for the draw is horrific on Rodgers' behalf. I have to totally agree with that. I do have to totally agree with that. Why he came out at the end and said the players were fatigued. I was listening to his interview saying, goodness sake, no wonder they're fatigued. It was so hot. Absolutely had to make some substitutions. Andy says we played good for 60 minutes, but once again, Brendan's tactics cost us. Good evening, Karen. Good evening, Maz. Hope you're well. 1 sub to Brentford's 5, says Liam in there. LCFC Gray says, good evening. Marty is making too many errors when you can use 5 subs. Why only 1 in 30 degrees? Rodgers definitely got it wrong in there. I thought Marty was all right yesterday. Be interested to get your views. Liam says he thought Ndidi was poor yesterday. Again, do you agree with Liam in there? I thought Ndidi wasn't the best Ndidi performance by a long way. I would absolutely agree. Vaughan is having a go at what shirt number I'm wearing on the back here. Well, I'm not going to give it away, but I've got 4 tickets to give away to Bongos Bingo, which is at the Morningside Arena on the 19th and 20th in there. Wayne, good evening, Wayne says, Brendan got it wrong, full stop, points dropped. I have to agree with you, Wayne. I have to agree with it. And Imtiaz says, perfect excuse, master. Yeah, players were fatigued. It was hot. Yes, it was. Make a sub. Make a sub, mate. Players were knackered, so why not you sub? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make some offence. I know a lot of you are saying that. Andy Meadow says, claims they were suffering from fatigue, but then did absolutely nothing about it. Listen, before I bring Locks in, let's hear what Sinky had to say at the match yesterday.
Football's back, Sinky. Football's back, Leicester's back. 2-0 up, 2-2. What's your thoughts?
Well, first off, we kind of ran the show, didn't we, really? Had them on the back foot all the time. Got the goal, looked comfortable, hit the post, looked to make it more, but at half time you're pretty happy at 1-0 against a fairly good side, you have to say. And then start of the second half, a real bonus. They didn't touch the ball from the kick-off, and suddenly Dewsbury Hall puts it away off the post, okay, but it's 2-0. And you think, okay, go on from here, get the third, and it's game over. It's one of those score lines, isn't it? They score, they're back in it. Dewsbury Hall going off, not really sure I agree with that, especially when you're putting another striker on with Vardy. When Dhaka came on, I expected Vardy to go off and keep that midfield, because when they scored their second goal, that was the position that Dewsbury Hall was taking up. So I didn't really follow the logic. And then they use all 5 subs, we use 1. Also, Madison looked like he was fading a little bit. Better use for your substitutes manager, perhaps. So, 2-2, you come away feeling like you lost the game. But we got a point, but we should have had more.
Thanks, John. I mean, I agree with virtually everything you've just said there, especially that they use 5 subs, we use 1 sub. It's 25, 26, 27 degrees. First game of the season.
It's pure logic. You're watching the other side do it. Wasn't that instill you to? You've got players warming up in front of us, and you're thinking, okay, you're going to use Perez or somebody, or just somebody different. But no, don't understand it at all.
He's paid to do the tactics, John. Thanks. That's Sinky's view. Put down comments below if you agree with what Sinky says.
So that was Sinky yesterday, straight after the match, literally a couple of minutes after it. And to be fair, I still agree with what Sinky was saying. It was very strange down there. Brentford were suffering from fatigue, so he subbed off his team. 5 subs now. Listen, the game has changed dramatically. 5 substitutes means that a bit like American sport, a bit like NFL, you can have a massive change. Or basketball, you can bring on a different team. If you're losing, you can bring the offense on. You can attack. 5 subs, it almost means when we had 3 subs, which for many of us is still a luxury, but when you've got 3 subs, you've got to think tactics about who's coming on. When you've got 5, you can effectively bring 2 on with no gamble, just to see what happens. Lee says spot on from Sinky. Wayne says spot on. Patrick says, since when did the way we entered the ground with season tickets changed? Now have to tap on. Yeah, I agree. That was chaos outside. And finally, with about 3 minutes to kick off, they put an announcement out to explain to everybody what went on. It was a little bit chaotic out there. Now, listen, waiting to come in and have a chat with us is a good old friend of Leicester Fan TV. You know him well. It's Locke, so I'm going to bring him in. I want you to keep putting your comments in. We're going to react to them. So welcome to the show tonight, Locks. Good evening, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm okay. I've got to be fair. I'm calling it now, Locks. I want to know your views. You can totally disagree with me. Totally disagree if you want. But I think Rodgers got it totally wrong yesterday. It's tactics and one substitute yesterday. Strange. What's your take on it, please?
Yeah, I think Brendan Rodgers had the worst possible start to the season that a manager could have had, really. We didn't lose, I know, but the 2 main things that I took from the game was obviously the substitution, the Dewsbury Hall substitution, which...
Well, Tom's just said that. Tom Brewer there's just said, of all the players to take off, kid in Dewsbury Hall scored a screamer playing at his socks.
Yeah. Honestly, for anyone watching who's got me on Twitter, as soon as the sub was made, I actually tweeted, and I was like, I don't know if it came through on time, but I said that is a weird substitution to make. It was just bizarre, because Dewsbury Hall, as we know, is one of them players that normally plays the whole 90. So, it was a very strange substitution. And it's not even the fact that it was him. It was just a player out of midfield. As we know, they brought a man into midfield. And Rodgers has said since in his post-match interview that, well, because they got an extra man in midfield, he wanted to put a striker, a striker. And I'm like, but what? We've not, we're losing control of the midfield. And for me, I think that's what cost us the game. That substitution.
I mean, Luke Charlton says here, 2 subs didn't understand taking Dewsbury all off and adding Daka in, doing nothing either. I thought up until around that point, we were controlling the midfield. I thought generally we were semi-cruising at 2-0. I thought we might go on to win it 3 or 4-0, like a few people have put in there. But they brought subs on and changed it. But it seems strange to take us a midfielder off, especially one who probably, for me, I thought Kieran Dewsbury had the best midfield performance. Maddison was a bit in and out yesterday. I know a lot of fans are giving him a bit of grief. I'd like to know what you thought of him. I thought he had a pretty decent game, but also did give the ball away a bit and at times looked sloppy.
Yeah, there were a few players that gave the ball away, as there has been for the probably past 6 or 7 months. For us, there's been too many balls given away, and and Diddy gave quite a few away. Obviously, Madison Fofana as well gave a couple away. So it was a strange one. I thought, just going back to the substitution, if you wanted another man up there, even if you brought Iheanacho on, maybe, because as we know, he does drop back and he does kind of play in a number 10, sometimes drops back to a number 8 even that would have made a little bit more sense. But to throw Daka on up there with Vardy, I think, and the thing is, I can't remember how much. There was quite a big period of time between the two goals, right? Between the two Brentford goals. So he's a stubborn guy, Rodgers. I think we know that. And if you see the game going one way, you have to react. So he's made a poor substitution, and when he sees them dominating us like they were, surely you've then got to go, all right, I've made a mistake here, and I need to get Dennis Pratt on. I need to get another midfielder onto the pitch. Maybe take Vardy off, put Pratt on. But there was just no reaction at all. As I've, I have kind of had a go at Rodgers in the past about his substitutions.
Yeah.
Many of times, and I think that's what cost us the game again.
Locks, in the car, in the traffic jam on the way home, I said pretty much what Ian has put here. And I don't almost want to put this on screen, but I did say, was Brendan hinting to the board that there's no strength in depth? I half think he's hitting the self-destruct button, same different season. I said something similar. I said, was Brendan showing that actually that was his first team and he didn't have a lot to bring on? I don't know if he was playing that sort of game.
Well, you'd hope not, because despite the stick a couple of the players on the bench get, Perez, for example, they could have changed the game. They could have helped. There has been a rare occasion where Perez has come on and he has changed the game for us. So I hope that's not the case, because last week with Rodgers' interview with Owen, which was a brilliant interview. A lot of honesty from him, and Rodgers there saying the board have supported him, and that was time for him to support the boards, for him to support the owners and the club. And so then if he has gone from that to then kind of digging his heels in and saying, well, I'm not going to make a substitution because the players we have on the bench aren't good enough, then I don't think that's the right way to go about it. The number one thing is winning the game, picking up points. And I feel that the players on the bench could have helped us do that. And for some reason, and then, for him to come out afterwards and blame fatigue was just ridiculous, because he is the one who's made the decision to not bring anyone off the bench, get some fresh legs on the pitch again, which I think would have helped us. So yeah, he had an absolute shocker yesterday, Rodgers.
I mean, this is the trouble. You see, Kevin is quite right. It's the first game of the season. Everybody needs to calm down a little bit here. I do hear what Kevin is saying, but a lot of people have said in here, it's like the same. It's like, I mean, Andy Young says here, it's like watching a game from last season. What have we learned over the summer? It seemed like we came away saying same old, same old. It was the same. It looked like we hadn't played much in there. Jonathan again says in here, first match of the season, 80 degrees. Again, he's saying so overreacting to many managers. I'd like to say about the heat, and Rodgers saying fatigue at the end. What is he on about? I'm trying to support Brendan, but it's hot. They're fatigued. First game of the season, and he makes one sub.
Yeah, and because I think Leicester were one of the clubs last year to vote against the 5 subs, and a lot of the clubs with not as good of a in-depth squad like the big clubs have. Obviously, we as smaller clubs prefer to have the 3 subs because we haven't got that abundance of talent coming off the bench. But it's there. The 5 subs are there. You didn't even use 3 you didn't even use 3.
One.
And exactly. And
a hot day, and he only used 1 sub.
Yeah, and one of the comments that you brought up a second ago. Where is it? Yeah, the man management and the one about it feels like the same as last year. It feels like that last game of the season, or the last few games of the season, was last week. It didn't just see, it seemed like there was no difference. I think the biggest worry isn't Rodgers making a clanger like he did yesterday. It's the mentality side of things, because obviously we know that we had a big problem last season with seeing games out, and you go back to the Tottenham game, which was awful. And you can't. I'm blaming it on Rodgers. I'm blaming the dropping of the points on the decisions on from the manager. But it could still be that mentality issue. And I think there was definitely a little bit of complacency from some of the players, 100%. But that's when you need to get players on the pitch. Tell these players off the bench what you want them to do. You need to go see out the game, and just didn't happen.
I think it's an interesting one. I want to pick up with Jason here. He's saying moan, moan, moan. Rodgers makes the sub as part of the game management. How is it his fault if the players on the pitch can't and don't see our match out after being 2-0 up? Just come out and say Rodgers out now. Jason, I've said it all last season. I'm still very much Rodgers in. I still very much back Rodgers, but he does seem to have a strange that Jason. I don't think it's very hard for you to argue that was strange yesterday, that he didn't play more than one sub. He's got 5 subs. And to that, I'd ask you, Locks, the game has changed. Having 5 subs allows a manager to have even more influence on a game with tactics, positions, substitutions. It's evolved the game dramatically. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's like a completely different game, and in the way that they prepare for games as well, it opens you up to, more. Someone said earlier about plan A, plan B, plan C. It does open up to that, and maybe that is what Rodgers, like you said, maybe that's what Rodgers was thinking. Okay, I can bring on Daka. I've got this plan B or whatever. But as I said, that plan didn't work, and then you've got to react to that, and you can't just sit there, sit back and just watch it all unfold. But yeah, it's a completely different game. The substitutions, obviously, it does help the bigger clubs more, like your Man Cities and your Liverpools. But we need to take advantage of it. We can't just sit back and go, "Oh, I wish it was still 3." It's not fair. We need to take advantage of it as well. And this isn't something that happened last week. It's been a couple months, three months that this was voted on. That it was announced that the 5 subs would come in. So you've had a full pre-season to prepare for this. As you prepare for everything else, your system and the players that you're going to play, you need to also prepare for the new rules of the game. So it has changed, and it looks like Rodgers hasn't changed. So
yeah, a few comments here. Kevin says you should see some movement in the window now with Casper's wages freed up. If we're all honest, we knew it could be a difficult season for us this year. Nick says at least we defended corners better. Yes, and I would like to talk to you, Locks, in a minute about Danny Ward in goal. Joe says in this heat he needs to up his game and use his subs. Steve, I think you're saying what the big thing is, can't see why took off Dewsbury Hall, he was the best player. Why didn't he bring Pratt on? Somebody did put earlier in there, I'm going to see if I can find it. They were saying nobody coming on. Danny says here, other than Pratt, no one else is going to fill you with confidence coming on to change the game. I would say Dennis Pratt, I'd be happy with coming on. I would say Mendy coming on for Wilf, who didn't have the best game. I'd say, like you say, Locks, Perez coming on. We have got reasonable quality in there, and I'd rather see Perez come on and be fresh for 20-30 minutes than not make any subs. But before we sort of hit that topic quite a lot, Locks. Danny Ward, I thought did okay, and I felt fairly confident with him in the goal. He let 2 goals in. Don't think he could have done a lot with them though. Locks thought he did all right.
Yeah, I thought he did fine. Obviously, a lot of people, and rightly so, a lot of people obviously panicking a little bit when Schmeichel, when that was going through and he left. But I wasn't really too fussed. Obviously, I'll miss him. He's been a great servant to the club, unbelievable goalkeeper. One of the most underrated in the Premier League, like in the last 20 years. I think. But Danny Ward was brought in. I think was it 11, 12 million, something like that. And he's played a couple cup games here and there, which he's done well in. And the Euros, last year he was unbelievable for Wales. Obviously, as a Welshman, I watched all the games and he was brilliant. So yeah, I think he's going to be fine. I think we're going to be fine with him. I don't think we really need a goalkeeper. There's been talk of getting a 3rd choice goalkeeper, which I know we've got Ivan and Stolisic. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. So maybe we'll get a 2nd or 3rd choice in, but I think Danny Ward is fine, and I think as the season goes on, he'll settle in, he'll build a relationship up with the back 4, because that's the main thing he needs to do. Schmeichel, obviously, any defender at Leicester, all they've ever known is Kasper Schmeichel, so it's a big thing building up that trust and that relationship with the back 4. And once that's settled, I think we'll be fine. I think that's probably the last area of the pitch we actually need to look at the minute, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I would assume because Locks, they've given Danny Ward the #1 shirt, literally put one on his back. That's saying you are our #1 keeper this season.
And Iverson good in pre-season as well. So we've got a decent, kind of Denmark's #2, I believe, Iverson. So yeah, it's not an awful kind of selection of keepers. Obviously, it's going to be better with Schmeichel in there, of course. But I heard something a few days ago that apparently Ward was brought in to eventually replace Casper anyway, and Schmeichel just obviously stayed longer than we would have thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was, and I think we're absolutely fine with him. He like I said, he's been good where he's played. I don't recall him making any clangers so far. So yeah, I think that's, like I said, I think that's the last, one of the last places we need to look at strengthening at the minute. I think Danny Ward's a good goalkeeper.
What's your take on Amati after yesterday? I'm quite a big Amati fan. I think he does a job for us, but I know he comes in for some stick, Locks.
Yeah, I think technically, obviously, questionable at times. I think technically Soyuncu's probably a better centre half than Amati. But when, multiple games last season when Amati came in, he just, honestly, man of the match performances sometimes. He does have a shocker of a game in him, but then he also does have some, he's not a 10 out of 10 centre back, and he's not, rarely a 2, or a 3. He's kind of normally average, which is what we kind of need to just settle it down last season. So yeah, I don't mind him. I think he's a decent defender. I don't think he's should be our first choice. I think Soyuncu is better than him. But then Soyuncu made far too many mistakes last season, so I understand completely why Rodgers has played him. But I also understand the stick that Amati got yesterday, because he wasn't great. He wasn't great.
Boohoo Records and Rag says Ward can't be blamed for either goal yesterday. He was fine. I don't think anybody did blame Danny Ward for that. I felt quite confident with him in the goal in there. Matthew Dunn says Rodgers, Evans, Maddison, Fofana, Tielemans and Ward out. Matthew, I mean, we're only one game in, and some fans are already losing the rag a little bit. Michael, who was part of the watch along yesterday, he says he could have at least made an attempt. This is Danny Ward. Multiple times in the match, he stood frozen on his spot. Not a good look after Casper for years. I'm not quite agreeing with you there, Michael, but fair enough to have your own views, of course. David is talking about Maddison was maybe a 6.5. He says he tried, but noticed too many passes stuck harder than necessary, not his usual game. I thought he did have good moments, Madders, but he also did sort of lose the effort in there. Ivan, watching out in Sierra Leone, says, think we can beat Arsenal by looking their mouth.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say as well, Phil, sorry. I think it was Sonderax agreed. I'm comfortable with Ward, but your defence makes, and it does. Look how many goals we conceded last season, and no one really. Obviously, Schmeichel did get a little bit of blame for some of them, but no one said, "Oh, it's Schmeichel's fault." That second goal, where I think someone mentioned about he was kind of stood still. The defenders should have closed him down. Obviously, I know he's kind of a relatively unknown. I don't think the players were studying De Silva before the game, but anyone can take a shot from outside of the box and get it on target in the Premier League. And it was quite crowded in the box. I don't know if Ward maybe didn't see it. He saw it late. But Ward, I saw a couple times in the first and second half, like berating the defense. Proper having a go at them. Our defenders, I saw a couple times. So it wasn't Ward. I don't blame Ward one tiny bit. Obviously, every goalkeeper could improve in areas, I'm sure. But for his first, kind of game as #1, not long back from injury as well, I think he did a decent job.
Yeah, in there. Imtiaz says, why isn't Samari being given a chance? He wasn't even in the squad yesterday, Imtiaz. For most of the game, says Paul, we were dominating, completely Rodgers' fault for the result. Liam says, I like the ball being pinged over the top by Evans or Fofana. I think it was, kept seeing it doing. We were a little bit more progressive yesterday, and Danny Ward himself kicked it over there. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes left, Locks. Just a quick one on the singing section. Did it work? I'll let you have your say before I have my say on it.
Well, since it was announced, I just didn't really understand it. I haven't really got much more to say than that, Phil. To be honest with you, I've never really understood it. It didn't work. I didn't really notice much difference. And then, yeah, if anything, the stadium was a little bit more quiet because there were no clapper. I'm not a big clapper fan, but when you take them out, they do make noise. When you take them out, it is gonna, the stadium is gonna lose some noise. So, but yeah, on the singing section, I'm not really bothered by it. I don't think it's,
Well, it'd be
I
an
don't
interesting
understand.
one to see what people watching this think.
Yeah,
I've always been positive. The clappers, I think, especially through the good times, they help create the noise that was in the ground. And I think you take them out like yesterday, and the levels do drop a little bit.
yeah,
I generally thought the singing section, it looked like the same Union FS lads, the same maybe 50, 75 lads, just they've moved positions lower down. I thought at times it sort of worked and helped spread a bit of noise, but I, I, I hope it does work. I'll give it a chance.
long
Hope it
term,
works this
yeah,
season. Yeah, and it might build. It might take a while for it to build, but interesting to see what people thought on there. Brett says, like the clappers, and it was very quiet yesterday. I felt. Patrick says, sounded like a silent disco. It, clappers created the atmosphere for our greatest successes, says
yeah,
Imtiaz in the air. Ian says he sits in SK4 and didn't notice any difference, but he's all for trying to improve the atmosphere, which
yeah.
I agree. I think the singing section, maybe they should either put it smack bang in the middle of the cop and say, and maybe they should have put in safe standing at the same time, or perhaps they should have had the balls and put it where they've got rid of the family stand in P1 and P2 and said, there you go, you're right next to the away fans, make some flipping noise and give it there. They've sort of just moved it slightly down. It seems to be the same, like I say, 7,500 lads. Peter says it sounded louder than before. I sit at the opposite end. I didn't think it sounded louder before at all. Clappers have gone to save money. And Andrew, I'd like to say, I think the clappers have gone for environmental reasons. It's not great to print 30,000 clappers with all the ink every week and chuck
And
them away.
everyone, I think the fans wanted them gone. A majority, right?
Yes,
The majority wanted them
yeah,
gone.
a lot of
But
fans did want them gone. Locks, listen, we've got a few minutes left. We have got have you heard of Bongo Bingo, Locks?
I have, and I have been, and it is a very, very enjoyable night out. So yeah,
It is a bit crackers. Now we've got 4 tickets to give away in this next 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. All people, I'm wearing obviously a Leicester shirt, one of my favourites from Fox Leisure Times. It's got a number on the back. I want people to put in the comments below what number I'm wearing. Do you see why this ties in, Locks? Numbers, bingo.
yeah,
Guess the number.
absolutely.
Okay, just before, so putting in the comments now what number shirt you think I've got on, and I'm going to pick somebody completely at random, and you're going to get 4 tickets to go on either the 19th or 20th. Here's a clip of what it is. We're working with the Morningside Arena. We want you all to get down there. There's a link in the bio of this video as well. 10 quid you can get with this link instead of 25 quid. So treat yourself to a 10 quid ticket. This is what Bongo Bingo is all about. So that is not bingo as we know it. It is crazy. If you like a drink, it is certainly at party time. So I'm hoping to be down there on, well, the game, the 20th, there's a game, the Southampton game. So I'm not sure whether to go after the Southampton game or go the night before. Ivan said number 7. Lee said number 6. Reedy said 5. Paul said 6. You see, Paul is thinking sensible. Look at the shirt. Look at the shirt. It's number 6. Liam says 12. Dorco says Cotty. Dorco, mate. It's pick a number, not pick a player. Fee says 8. Brett says 5. John says 5. Ian says 5. Very sensible. Walsh's number. He is a legend. LCFC Gray says 21. I don't even know if we had a 21 back there. Imtiaz 8. Andrew 5. Keep your guesses coming in. Paul says, is it Ian Marshall? Number 10. It could be. Locks, I'm going to give you one guess if you want to win the tickets.
I'm going to go with number. Did you get it printed, Phil? Because I'm thinking, is it single digital? It depends how much money you had. I'm
giving absolutely no clues away. Locks genuinely doesn't know. So if you were to get it right, I'd give you 4 tickets as well if you wanted to go. But there we go.
I'm going to go with number 5.
Unlucky there in there. Keep guessing. Zach says number 8. You can keep getting your guesses in just before we. Very briefly, Ian is saying 7. LCFC, great. It's not a name. It's a number on the back of the shirt. Although there is a name on there as well. So there is a clue there. There is a name and a number. But it's not number 5. Keep guessing. Reedy says 12.
Has no one got it? Or someone got it?
I've seen one person has got it. One person has got it. So at the moment, it's going to be an easy one to see who the tickets got. Just before I pick that winner, so you can keep getting your guesses in. Locks, Arsenal on Saturday. It's not a hunting ground we normally do super well at. Reedy will be previewing it live on Friday at 7:30. Just briefly, are you looking forward to it or are you nervous?
Regardless of how I feel about, Rodgers or whatever, and, I still think we have a team capable of beating anyone on their day, as we've seen in the past. So I was confident for yesterday. I said 3-0. Didn't happen. I'm going to remain confident for another game, and I think we'll win 2-1 at the Emirates.
2-1, Reedy. 2-1. Reedy will be happy on Friday when he does the show. I'm hoping
if Dewsbury Hall stays on. If he stays on the pitch.
Again, we must all remind Brendan that you can use 5 subs. Listen, loads of people have had a guess. I am going to give it to the person who got it right. It was one of the first guesses. It is. Are you ready? Let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can show you. Look, it's Fox Leisure. It's back in the 90s. It's going to be Walshy. It's going to be Tags, or it's going to be. Can you see that?
Oh, yes.
It's going to be Matty Elliott. Jason Bateman got it. Jason, mate, you've just won 4 tickets to Bongo Bingo. I always get it the wrong way around. In Leicester, you can pick to go on either the 19th or 20th. It is crazy. Jason, make sure you DM me, okay, mate? And we'll get that in there. Listen, Locks, I'm going to let you go. Thanks so much for joining us.
Anytime. It's been great being back.
Fantastic. We want Locks on every week, but we'll get him as often as he's got time for. Thanks, mate. We'll see you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, to Locks for joining us. It's been absolutely brilliant to have him back in there. Thanks, everybody, for having a guess in there. Well done to Jason, who actually got it right. And listen, yesterday, I want to say thank you to everybody I met. We were handing out leaflets. Don't forget, as well, competitions. For those of you who don't know, we are giving away the chance so that you can win your season ticket money back. So if you've got a season ticket, you can win your money back up to 500 quid. Or if you haven't got a season ticket, you can just win 500 quid. So we have got competitions. That's thanks to Pink, Pucker, Take Me, Hologram and Everard. So if you want to win your season ticket money back or 500 quid, go on Leicester Fan TV. Again, the link is in the bio of this video. I just want to play a video to let us go out. Because I want to say thanks to everybody who helped hand out flyers and everybody we chatted to on the way into the game yesterday. It was a great build-up. I'll see you next Monday. Don't forget, we've got an away fan show coming up this week with an Arsenal fan. And we've also got Reedy, probably will be live at 7:30 on Friday doing the match preview for the Arsenal show. I'll see you same time next week. Don't forget, Brendan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should have had 5 on my back, shouldn't I? I should have had number 5. I should have put Walshes on. See you next time.
These flyers out outside the King Power Stadium to fans as they come in. You've got your chance to win your season ticket money back or 500 quid thanks to our pals down at Pink, Pucker Pies, Hologram, ADT and Take Me and Everard. So if you've not entered yet, either grab yourself a flyer of one of the matches or enter online at LeicesterFanTV.com. Good luck.
Liam says, congratulations to Jason. So does Imtiaz. Ivan says, if I stand to a handstand, it's 81. I'm not doing that, Ivan. Not live on here. It will be absolutely worse. Kevin says, do go down to Bongo Bingo's. Prepared to watch a lot of drunken women dancing on tables, Jason. It's mental. That's probably just sold it into half the people watching this. Thanks again for everybody. Chris, we haven't got time to talk about PSG and Fofana. Let's just fingers crossed he's still around for Saturday's match against Arsenal. Who knows, he may be. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. See you soon.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everard's, Pucka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Writers, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newbie & Co. Estate Agents. Make sure to follow us on all of our social channels at Leicester Fan TV. Visit our website, leicesterfantv.com.